Welcome everyone to a quick shout out and edition of IT breaking news. I wanted to give my 2 cents for quite some weeks already about the chip shortage. You might have heard about this, right? The stuff that made latest and greatest next gen, because still not that much available, processors, right? CPUs, GPUs, not as available, prices, particularly GPU prices, of course, doubled and tripled in this last crazy year. And most people wonder, will it get better anytime soon? And of course, it doesn't even affect only IT stuff, right? If you look into news, EV shift coping with chip shortage here, shares details, US vehicle sales tumble amid chip shortage, record prices, and makes even big dent in automakers. So also, of course, Elon Musk said some stupid stuff of like, yeah, we are much better than the competition. We just change our design to some other chip, but that is not that easy, right? First of all, you can't easily change your PCB, especially if you like some multi-layer, like 8-layer automotive quality, higher temperature range, and so on. You cannot just redesign your stuff. I think he said something like, even now, so we adapt our firmware quickly. I mean, adapting the firmware for some new temperature sensor. I mean, certainly you can't adapt your firmware quickly from some ARM to PowerPC stuff. So I mean, at times, what Elon Musk's writing, some random stuff, maybe less worse than our 2 cents here. But so car makers all over the world, right? Companies buckle up for extended chip shortage. Also, yeah, even health affected, right? Medical stuff, of course. Nowadays, chips and IT and stuff. Pacemaker, ultrasound companies seek priority amid chip shortage. There's help needed to ease global chip shortage. Taiwan, what is it even, as a major chip producer, has been front and center, resolve the chip shortage. Yeah, US auto sales forecast to plummet in third quarter's chip shortage, plugs industry. And how did we get here? Also, it even affects small creators, right? For example, here on Twitter, Piotr, with this amazing icebreaker and similar stuff, ordered a new batch of chips, DVI, HDMI, IP mods. Of course, couldn't get them from source that sells obsolete, discontinued parts. Thus, present to you silicon image chips from before they were purchased from Lattice. So old. So he found so old chips, I think even at a higher price, right? Of course. Purchasing at record prices chips so old they even have old logos of before they were purchased by another company. And I even heard from multiple people they have even struggled to source passive components, some SMD capacitors, resistors and stuff. If you need some even small quantities such as 10,000s, you might have them on back order for multiple quarters. And so this stuff is so crazy. The Bureau of Industry and Security there at the Department of Commerce in the United States is asking for information. Their notice of request for public comments, that is like relatively newish, 9/24/2021. Notice of request, so not only request for comment for your internet standards, but also the US government. Hey, by the way, request for comment on risk of semiconductor supply chain. And the reason I think we will have this for multiple years, so the reason, of course, many people think it's also mostly the ongoing pandemic with all the manufacturing in Asia, all the shipping delayed, disrupted there, the global supply chain. And not only do I think this will continue to go on for at least a year, might get better, might get worse, because of course shipments, containers also full with other stuff, not only IT components or flights. And I think somewhere I read, not sure if that is in this document, the summary here, 100-day supply chain review of semiconductor and advanced packaging that was mandated by the Presidential Executive Order February 24th. President Biden issued an executive order of American supply chain stuff. And I think they're also somewhere accusing some companies and countries of hoarding this stuff. Not sure if it was in this document. I've read so many documents the last weeks. Potential inconsistent demand signals, seeks responses from interested parties, including cosmetic and foreign semiconductor design firms, so manufacturers, material equipment suppliers, as well as semiconductor intermediate and end users on the question set forth in this notice. And the reason, another reason, so how did we get there, right? We probably made the long-term strategic mistake. With me, I mean worldwide, Europe, where I am from here, USA, everywhere, like shifting manufacturers there to cheaper countries, for example in Asia, Taiwan, China. And now we depend on this, right? Sure, it was cheaper for a decade, but cheaper for a decade comes now with tremendous costs, right? The supply chain, if you can't build your health, medical equipment, your cars, and so on, then of course that is an issue. So I think this was, like many people said for decades already, huge strategic mistake that hits us now hard. And similar to America's supply chain first stuff here, make America's supply chain great again, probably we need to make every country's and continent's supply chain great again. More manufacturing, more local manufacturing, also better for local jobs and stuff, and potentially for the environment, right? Better environmental regulations, less shipping containers all over the ocean, and also not a single point of failure, right? This is exactly this kind of thing. We created a single point of failure there in Asia, mostly China and so on. And yeah, single point of failure, not only in software, also here, global supply chain, single point of failure, and doesn't need a 100-year pandemic to disrupt that, obviously. And especially, I was already wondering if so there are multiple additional things. So first of all, I have to wonder if things with the pandemic are significantly worse in China than they publicly said. So this is no speculation, I don't know. But some stuff doesn't add up, right? If China discloses numbers like, yeah, we don't have so much COVID, everything is amazing here. Of course, recently they had to shut down again because they had some new outbreaks. But I wonder if in the countryside, in this manufacturing areas where they have more industrial production, if the situation is much worse, or at least not as good as they say, because why 1 year later we still don't get so many components, right? I have the impression it could potentially be way worse there than they say. And additional stuff is, to my surprise, and this is really strange, I also wonder, do some people, maybe in the Chinese government, who knows, it is a little bit, because to me it is strange that they want to export stuff, and why is it not their uttermost priority to export stuff, right? Maybe they then intentionally have there some plan of disrupting the worldwide economy or manufacturing supply more than we want, because in one way it is amazing that they take some environmental efforts here. For example, shutting coal power plants more down than even we unfortunately in Germany do. That is summed up there for China. So that is on one side amazing, but on the other side it creates an even more supply shortage here. Running power shortages in China have halted, and so I mean this is also mostly intentionally, or not intentionally, but this is, they made the decision to do that, which is actually in many ways the right decision, but they have to halt production at numerous factories, and so this is in a global supply shortage, 100-year pandemic, and additionally, well, they sort of do the right thing, but that only makes the supply chain worse, right? So I only wanted to shout this out, that I don't have the impression that this chip shortage will, or other chip and other electrical or other goods supply shortage will end like next year. A lot of people are optimistic, like, yeah, next year everything will be better. I think we definitely need to make more global manufacturing, aka more local manufacturing, greater again, because as you read here, production at numerous factories, including many supplying Apple and Tesla, so much to Elon Musk, like, hey, we at Tesla have it totally under control, right? We just adapt our firmware and put there some chips. We find some that's like, yeah, YOLO, don't believe that. Apple and Tesla, with some shops in the Northeast operated by candlelight, right? And malls shut early as the economic toll of the squeeze mounted. So completely crazy situation, right? And this also a little bit recurring critical thinking here, not only in operating system design of monolithic versus microkernel and other not amazing software infrastructure stuff like hashtag peak bugs, but even peak bugs in the global supply chain, right? We are in a situation, we definitely, for decades I'm shouting out stuff for the environment, right? We obviously need to save the human living conditions on this only planet we know that we can live on. And China doing sort of the right thing here, but on the other hand, and that is certainly important, there actually should not be a but however, industrial revolution, right? The state of civilization is shops operated by candlelight, like it is a Stone Age, all over again. Crazy stuff. China is in the grip of a power crunch as a shortage of coal supplies. Also, this is a little bit strange, right? In some news, I mean, on some news, there you wonder, and this is a crazy thing, right? You don't even get the best understanding anymore of between all the strange, not as accurate news everywhere. Because on some news, China makes it sound like, hey, they do this intentionally because environment, and on other news, Reuters even, you read strong demand, shortage of coal supplies, toughening emission standards. So, I mean, is it shortage of coal supplies or is it intentional emission standards? But in any case, strong demand from manufacturers and industry have pushed coal prices to record highs. Also, yeah, recurring theme, right? Nowadays, renewable energy is much cheaper than freaking dirty fossil fuels, coal and stuff. Record highs triggering widespread curbs on usage. So much to, is it now intentional? China is so green, so they probably whitewashing of we have price and supply issues, but let's market it as we are so green and leader in the green revolution. Anyway, rationing has been implemented during peak hours. So yes, so this crazy stuff, right? That in 2021 you operate at candlelight in industrial countries, that China certainly is, and rationing of electricity during peak hours. So yeah, I don't believe the chip shortage will end next year, although some people say it will. Some even forecast there will be an oversupply next year. Not really seeing that with this kind of energy situation in China, potentially hoarding, maybe not. I searched it in this, it's not hoarding, in this somewhere I mentioned the US is suspecting hoarding. Not sure in which document it was, but anyway, crazy thing. Plus, of course, additionally, not only all of this, but previously already earthquakes, right? Other disasters in Taiwan, like chip production, right? Also flooding, I think some years ago, was it Thailand or so, where a lot of storage manufacturing was affected with flooding. So yeah, flooding, earthquakes, other stuff has been an issue. And this is also the stuff, right? Single point of failure, recurring theme here. if you're manufacturing and everything in one region or one country, then the whole world is on their mercy. And even with unexpected stuff, such as cars, medical, basically everything nowadays, right? Everything is connected and intelligent and so on. Anyway, that's mostly it for this shout out. Leave in the comments below what you think. If you design with electronics, with chips, I heard from multiple, basically from everyone, obviously know that. If you have any inside knowledge, if you have any expectations, if you have any comments, leave them down below. I hope you learned something from this overview of the global situation, single point of failure, right? And don't forget to share, like and subscribe, and we probably can do some other 15 minutes there on the More Live channel doing some T2 Linux work. Otherwise, have a good Sunday and see you next time.